How good is Hunter x Hunter actually? I want to preface this video by bringing up the fact that if it's anyone who's actually qualified to talk about this topic, it's me. I have seen the Hunter x Hunter anime at least 4 times and I've read the entire manga or what's published front to back at least 5 times. Unlike my Death Note video, which you should go watch right now if you haven't, this video is going to be a bit longer. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to this series and its controversies over the years, so let's not waste any more time. Be sure to like and subscribe, by the way. Hunter x Hunter is a 1998 manga and a 1999 anime that received a readaptation in 2011. As of today, December 8th, 2024, the time of this recording, Hunter x Hunter has 410 chapters and is still ongoing as we're in the thick of the Succession War, the current arc in the story. Now, a question that usually comes up for people who have not seen Hunter x Hunter whatsoever is, what adaptation should I start with? Which leads into a broader topic that I've discussed with people over the years in the anime community. As someone who has seen all 3, I do not think any of these adaptations are bad. Anyone telling you otherwise is lying, because Hunter x Hunter 2011 and Hunter x Hunter 1999 are some of the best manga to anime adaptations of all time. People on the internet seriously want to be elitist when it comes to this because they feel as if they're more intelligent if they don't like something that's extremely popular. What I will say is that the 1999 version feels more faithful when it comes to the feel of Hunter x Hunter, or the building of its atmosphere, what it feels like to be in the world of Hunter x Hunter. This is something that's completely natural because of how close the anime and manga are in adaptation. A 90s anime is going to always adapt a 90s manga way better than something with modern technology can. This is something people don't really bring up when it comes to adaptations of certain manga and their aesthetic. I don't think a modern remake of Naruto, for example, would really work, because its charm benefits from having that grunge 2000s style of animation. That's not to say that it would be awful, because it wouldn't, but I think my point is pretty clear. While the 1999 version is great, it offers a lot to be desired both in quality and actual content. The 1999 version does not adapt the last 200 chapters of the manga, which sucks for hardcore fans. While the 1999 version is more faithful to what Hunter x Hunter is, I think Hunter x Hunter 2011 is more digestible for the average viewer. It's easier to watch something made in the 2010s if you were born in the 2000s. And I even know some people born earlier that prefer what came after. 90s anime have a very meticulous and methodical way of adaptation that's naturally worse technologically than what the next 2 decades can offer, and due to this, I can completely understand someone preferring one or the other. I think the point being made here in general is that Hunter x Hunter can be enjoyed through either or both adaptations, and both are worth checking out if you like the story. The manga, however, is the most you're going to get out of it because, well, it is the source material and is the most updated out of the 3. The story follows Gon Freaks, a young teenage boy who ventures out to become a hunter in order to find his father, who had abandoned him when he was young. It's your run-of-the-mill shonen, but for what it's worth, Hunter x Hunter does a phenomenal job of selling you a premise early on because of what a hunter actually is. If you become a hunter and pass the hunter exam, you'll be able to pretty much do anything anywhere at any time. There isn't any need for something like a driver's license or ID or passport or any fucking weird, lame, government mandated form of identification that the real world uses. This essentially allows someone to uncover these stranger parts of the world that hold the more valuable treasures and luxuries the average person doesn't know about. A story mechanic that pretty much makes the cast of Hunter x Hunter interesting by default, because each character that's associated with the Hunters Association has their own distinct motivation for becoming a hunter. Even the characters who aren't associated with the Hunters Association, or are indirectly by being some form of criminal or beast that must be slayed by them, still manages to stay interesting in that form of manner. What Hunter x Hunter also succeeds at is its world building, a term that's loosely thrown around to complement stories like One Piece. Now, that's not me insulting One Piece, because I do think One Piece's world building is actually fucking good, but what annoys me is this idea of what world building entails to the general anime community. World building isn't just the size of the world, it's how it affects the story and ideas and I think this is a common mistake that's made consistently and constantly. Bleach's world building, for example, isn't good because the world is big in size, but because of the discrepancy between the actual world and the Soul Society, and how we view society differently because of the two different social and political structures of both worlds, which plays into the idea of change and the courage to do so that Bleach establishes throughout the manga. Now, of course, size does matter, at least that's what she said. Ha ha. Get it? Cock jokes in late 2024. Alright, I'll stop. The size of the world is still beneficial to Hunter x Hunter as a story, and the same can be said about One Piece. The point was, if that's all the world was in Hunter x Hunter, then it would be rather dull. Something can be large, but it still needs to be filled in with something. The space can't be empty. The series manages to do both well, which is always a plus. Part of the world that's arguably the most important is the power system of Hunter x Hunter, Nen. It's argued that Nen is extremely complex and hard to understand and complicated and blah 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 blah. Let's get real, it really isn't. Anyone who said this over the years is either trolling, or they didn't actually pay attention, or they're just stupid. If you still don't understand exactly how Nen works, I direct you to Swag Kage's videos explaining them, as he pretty much covers everything there is on Nen, what it is and how it works. But if you want a broad and very basic explanation, think of each type of Nen user in the same way you would think of elemental users or types in Pokemon. Some have weaknesses to others, and some Nen users are so adept at using Nen, they're able to combine multiple or all of the types into one congruent set of abilities. What I do want to talk about is how Nen functions as a narrative element, and how Nen is used. More specifically, the sacrificial side of Nen and what exactly making that deal entails. It's an ultimatum that's given to these characters that allows them to act out in extreme ways for a chance at victory, at least in their eyes. The reason why Gon's transformation is so damning isn't necessarily because of the fact that he's so violent and visceral, but it's the fact that Gon basically dies once the time is up in that form. The reason why Kurapika's deal is so damning isn't because he becomes so strong with the deal that was set, but because it shows how desperately a man wants to erase his past, how a man is always running from something, and how it can never catch him and will always elude him. Not only this, but Nen allows the battles in Hunter x Hunter to be some of the most unique encounters we've ever witnessed, and even though I did mention the fact that you should look at the different Nen types in a similar way to Pokemon, which on the surface means water beats fire and so on and so forth, just because there's a weakness doesn't mean there's an automatic win. There are factors like the person in combat's experience, their intelligence, their physical and mental strength, the environment a battle takes place in. Was the fight actually a one-on-one? Was there a plan set forth before the battle to destroy the opponent? Togashi is a genius, and the way he intertwines these components into an adventure story with a near infinite world is nothing short of beautiful writing and storytelling. He manages to almost never write a dull fight. Even with Genthru in Greed Island, who is absolutely fucking abysmal, Gon's growth as a Nen user and a warrior still keeps you intrigued despite the very lackluster antagonist cast. Now, I believe that while Hunter x Hunter succeeds at those mechanisms that make its story whole, Hunter x Hunter does have its flaws in its storytelling, which is okay because let's be real, everything fucking does. There are down periods in Hunter x Hunter that are hard to get through. Greed Island is one of my favorite and one of the most interesting concepts I've ever seen, especially for a shonen story, but it lacks a genuine antagonist cast that's interesting in any capacity. The reason why Heaven's Arena, York New, and Chimera Ant are so highly rated and respected is because there's a force to be reckoned with that's able to genuinely spark interest in ideology, and arguably makes you question something about the human experience. What the fuck does Genthru make you question besides what drugs Togashi was on when he wrote him into the story? The answer is nothing, because Genthru is bland. Even his character design is fucking atrocious, and he just looks like a fucking dork with a pseudo mohawk. Hunter x Hunter also has way too much exposition at times, and this is something I do think the anime counters relatively well. Togashi has a kink for wanting to explain lore or things in detail, which is never a bad thing at first, but it is when we're talking about manga. The difference in novels and graphic novels is the fact that graphic novels obviously have illustration and are far easier to consume to the average person because you can actually see what's going on rather than visualize it. Besides visual novels, which are the true middle ground between novels and anime, manga are the closest thing we have to a middle ground that's less obscure and is far shorter. As someone who has read millions and millions of words for fun, I'm looking at you, ReZero and Monogatari, I have no issue with reading. I think reading and writing is the most important thing we can do as a society, but sometimes it's a bit much and it can even bore me in Hunter x Hunter. It's not damning because the implication here isn't the idea that it's meaningless or just rambling all the time, but it also sort of is. At the same time, I want to appreciate Togashi while he's here because he'll most likely pass away writing Hunter x Hunter, which is something I'll talk about later. Point is, it could be toned down. The art direction in Hunter x Hunter has garnered an interesting reputation over the last few years that I want to briefly cover. So at first, I was one of those guys who was like, yeah, Hunter x Hunter art is inconsistent or bad, but my mind has changed recently. It never really fails to match its art style, and what's mistaken for bad art is simply a perspective thing, and not in the sense of art is subjective, but more so the perspective of where a character is on screen and the perspective of what exactly is going on. It makes sense that Hunter x Hunter sometimes looks rough when Gon is just waving or whatever, and then looks hyper realistic and insane when we're looking at the possible creatures on the Dark Continent. I think Jujutsu Kaisen is actually a great example of an art style actually declining and being inconsistent in quality. As someone who has read JJK in full length since the day it was releasing, it's hard to decipher what's actually happening sometimes because of the way Gege likes to draw choreography, and often more than not, especially in the disgusting ass power scaling community, there's a very high chance something is to be misinterpreted or outright lied about because you can never really tell what the fuck is happening on panel. I never see Hunter x Hunter really have this issue, which is props to Takashi, especially because he literally cannot stand straight, so him drawing at a high level is a bit insane to say the least. Hunter x Hunter's character work is very impressive. The reason why this Succession arc is phenomenal and my favorite arc of this story is because Togashi was able to entangle 400 chapters of hype around characters effortlessly into one space, literally. Gon and Killua are great, and to be completely real with you, they deserve their own respective video on why they work so well as the protagonists of this story. But I seriously became interested in the story when they took a back seat, and characters like Corolla, Hisoka, Kurapika, Leorio, Illumi, and others took the wheel, driving the story forward. I'd go as far to say that honestly, I prefer the back end of the story to the front. I'm not saying anything bad in the beginning besides getting through, but what I'm saying is that these characters were purposefully left ambiguous in terms of who they truly were and what they truly wanted for the most part, besides maybe Kurapika, but he really only gets one arc prior to this one. Now that we're here and things, and by things I mean insane shit, is going down, I'm way more excited to read Hunter x Hunter, especially when we know how crafty Togashi can really get. To me, Hunter x Hunter is a blessing for the manga industry and anyone who appreciates art. It's sort of sad that the fanbase is so fucking insufferable and miserable because Hunter x Hunter isn't some kind of super deep and philosophical story, and it doesn't have to be. It's a masterpiece, and any work of art can adjust the dark underbelly of the human experience without being inherently complex or complicated in its style of storytelling. Yeah, Hunter x Hunter has a lot of fucking dialogue, but so what? Nothing about it is super deep. Hunter x Hunter is simply an ode to life, to cherish the moments along the journey, because once you reach the end, whether for good or bad, the chapter of your book is finished, but the story is never over. Togashi sacrificed his health and well-being to write his magnum opus, and because of this, he will forever have my respect at the highest level. He is a man who dedicated his life to his craft and his craft to his fans. I wish I could picture an end for Hunter x Hunter, but building something so generational with such poor health to its end is nearly impossible, and honestly, for men like Togashi, there is no end because the game keeps going until your life is over. So, is the Hunter x Hunter fanbase bad? Of fucking course. They're fucking miserable, they're disgusting, they're fat, it's ridiculous. The Gon and Killua shit is super cringe. They are not attracted to each other, or are they? No, seriously, Hunter x Hunter is actually good. A perfect 9 out of 10 to me, and one of the best anime or manga to experience in someone's lifetime. A must watch for anyone, honestly. I don't think you've truly lived life until you've given Hunter x Hunter a genuine try. Both the anime and the manga. That's going to do it for this video. It's Mabi, the guy who does anime reviews, recommendations, rants, retrospectives, and more. If you want more how good was blank actually, I have a Death Note video that I mentioned earlier that's pretty damn good that you can go and check out now. I also have tons of recommendations and retrospectives on my channel. Until next time, y'all, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video to all your friends, and I'm out, y'all. Peace.